Today on Tradecraft for Life, we go over Baron Coleman screaming at a lunatic, Jason Goodman, and we discuss some interesting stuff we found in Baron's past life before YouTube. Coming up on Tradecraft for Life. A couple days ago, maybe a week, I put out a call from Baron Coleman and Jason Goodman, and Baron went off at the end, and like I said, he was antagonized. He was provoked to anger in a way. And so many people who saw that came out and were calling Jason a tool, which I'm not discrediting that at all from what I've seen about him, and they were sticking up for Baron. I was like, okay, and I went along with it because I actually find Baron quite charming myself. And then I got to thinking about it, and I have a video on anger that I've recorded, and it's not that I haven't struggled with anger at times in my life. I think that every man can say there have been some points in his life where he has. But I can't recall how many times I've blown up on the phone like this towards anybody, even when I was in an angry state. And as crazy as this seems, it would probably be more prone for most of us to do it to like our sisters or our brothers or someone close to us. We're like family, but not to a stranger who you're trying to do some sort of business with. It seems kind of counterintuitive. So I put on my spidey senses and I started thinking through this as a HUMINT thing. And I was drawn to the conclusions that my assessment over my careers has made that, stuff like this just doesn't happen. There's usually a pattern behind this stuff, and it really shows a person's credibility. So I wasn't planning on this, and I wasn't even planning on digging. I was just planning on redoing this video because I know the sound that I had was terrible, because I got a DJI mic now, and I'm just waiting on my actual good mic to come in. So I was just going to redo it and redo the sound. And then those thoughts popped in. So I just did a little bit of surface mining, and I am so disappointed on what I found. So I like Baron. I'm not even saying this says this is who he currently is. However, that call does appear relatively recent. And when we dig into some of the stuff in his past, it's pretty indicative of his character. And I'm really disappointed in that. I'm really extremely disappointed in that. But I really am kind of disappointed. It's like Superman lost his cape. Because I think that we all see him in a great, magnificent light. And we have to remember that they're all people, just like you and I. They're going to make mistakes, and we should forgive them for it. But we also need to understand that they make those mistakes, and we forgive them for them, that it's not only those mistakes in character, it's mistakes that on some of the information that they're putting out too. So it's why I always say you have to source your information and dig into not only the credibility of the source, if it's a person, you have to dig into the person itself as well. And I'm not saying any of this to say any information he is putting out is bad, because I don't believe all the information that's being put out is bad. What I am saying is we have to vet it as a community, and we have to be careful on it, because we see cracks in the armor, and those cracks are not just in one location. They spread to other locations. This is the human psyche. This is human intelligence. This is what human intelligence is, and it's making assessments like this. This is why I have come out and I've said, hey, I want to teach a lot more people about this, because it's important. Because I'm not saying we go and we discredit Baron Coleman on everything. I'm not saying we throw everything out. I'm not saying any of that about any of this. because we shouldn't. He should be forgiven for past transgressions if he has shown remorse. But we're going to dig into this call, and then I will leave you some links to some stuff that's happened within the legal system. Because I got to thinking earlier today, before we dig in, I was like, everything with lawyers, I always have a hard time with lawyers. With everything I've done in my line of work, all the shady people I've worked with, and I'm not saying all lawyers are like this and so on, I've just had a hard time with them in terms of reliability and overall character. And it seems to never disappoint. And I'm sad to say that, but maybe that explains why our legal system is in such shambles the way it is right now. Because we have an industry that's filled with these type of people. I don't know. That's just a thought. I'm not making any allegations on any of that. But we need to have open thoughts in communication like this, especially without canceling people. Because even with all this stuff, even if maybe it was a little bit more and a little bit worse, I don't think we should even get close to canceling Baron Coleman. Because I don't believe that for even people who I disagree with wholeheartedly on a lot of things. Because I don't disagree with Baron Coleman on a lot of stuff he says. That is a culture that we should stay as far away from as possible. Because who cares if we agree with each other? We need to hear each other. We need to hear the opposite view. We need to hear everything. And you need to be able to assess it, analyze it, and come out the other side with it. And with a formed opinion. The problem is we don't have people doing that nowadays. That's part of the reason why I always say this. I feel like our nation is cooked because people don't want to do the work. The simple work of just analyzing something. They don't even want to surface mine. You don't even want to type a name into Google to see what pops up. And you can go so much deeper in Google, and don't use Google anyways. Okay, let's jump into the video. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit. You're going to have it linked. It's on X. Jason Goodman's Crowdsource the Truth's X account. And it goes back maybe 10 to 15 days.
Getting long-winded on, I need to ask you a favor because, as you may have observed, there's been somewhat of an unexpected backlash to our conversation, basically prompted by this video from Blake. He has basically taken what I've said and positioned it as, frankly, a defamatory attack. I mean, I don't know if you watched that whole video. I saw you on there sending him super chats and giving him advice about how to preserve the video. But
well, it wasn't how to preserve the video. I mean, it was more just, I know YouTube gets all bent out of shape, and since he had so much of my video in it, I don't want YouTube, I mean, really more just, I don't want YouTube opening his video and having a person review it. I mean, it was really more, well, I mean, I don't want.
Though, if you wanted George Webb to not put out your monetized content, why would you allow Blake to do that?
Well, two different things. One is George Webb didn't add any commentary. All he did was clip 32 minutes and 33 seconds and put it up as his own content. So that didn't need really personal review beyond, oh, here. But what I didn't want them to do was get on there and conflate with Blake that, oh, Baron Coleman's content must also have some sort of connection to the Charlie Kirk investigation and showing gory videos. So let's go ahead, but while we're doing a manual review of his, let's go ahead and throttle him down to nothing. You know, because
if you strike your content on Blake's video, it's that he's using your copyrighted content without your permission, unless you gave him permission to put that up there, which I guess.
Oh no, I didn't give him permission.
Sending him money and telling him how to prevent it from getting taken down.
Look, I don't have a ton of time talking about it. I got a show I'm getting ready for, but let me just say this: I just didn't want a person from YouTube throttling my content because they conflated my content with Blake's content. Because you cannot always guarantee you're going to get some high IQ individual reviewing.
Did you watch Blake's video? Are you aware of what he said?
Only about 10 minutes of it. Only about 10 minutes of it.
Because I don't think you want to be associated with it. He shows text messages from a woman who alleges that I called and threatened her, and I never did.
I'm not associated with it, and I'm not getting involved in anybody's disputes. I'm not getting involved in Blake and you. I'm not getting involved with George Webb.
I'm not asking you to get involved in George Webb. The reason I'm calling you is because I'm asking you to host another interview to clarify something that was specifically.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm absolutely not hosting another interview.
Why not?
I will. because it's my show, and I don't want to host more video interviews. I don't want to host George Webb. I don't want to host Blake. I don't want to host you.
I'm not asking you to host George Webb. I'm asking you to host me. You've created a situation that's harming me, and I'm asking you to help me. No, I'm not doing it.
I hosted you. Listen. You've got your own platforms. You can rectify it. You can.
Actually, I can't, Baron. I mean, you've got a platform.
Jason, I host. I'm not doing. That is asking me to get involved, and I'm absolutely not doing it.
So you send money to Blake during a defamatory
I'll send you $50 if that's what you want. I'll send you $50.
No,
okay, well that's all I was doing.
You're giving
all I was doing was trying to get him. Why don't you strike his content?
Jason, shut the fuck up!
Why don't you
this
strike
is your
his
fucking problem.
content?
Shut the fuck up!
You send money to Blake during a defamatory
I'll send you $50 if that's what you want. I'll send you $50.
No,
okay, well that's all I was doing.
You're giving
all I was doing was trying to get him.
Why don't you strike his content?
Jason, shut the fuck up!
Why don't you strike his content?
Shut the fuck up!
Why don't you strike Blake?
So what do we pick up from that call? Seriously, what do we pick up? Not only did he yell, you can hear that he added something physical to it in nature. It's another level when you're actually smashing stuff when you're screaming, because there are different levels to anger. That's something that we have to point out. Again, I didn't intend to dig any deeper at all, because I don't just dig on people for no reason, except for if they're around my family or my kids. That's the only reason why I dig. I don't just go out onto the internet and dig unless I'm showing a reason to. And all I did the first time around was literally just show this call. And since people have this thought in their mind that Jason Goodman is a lunatic and that makes Baron Coleman and his anger okay, I'm not even saying that he wasn't even baited into that. And I'm not even saying that recording the phone call isn't weird either. I think all that's weird. I think the whole thing around this is actually kind of weird. The entire premise. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm actually struggling right now. Because I feel like I can say such worse things, and I don't really want to. I'm not making any allegations. I don't know the man, but I know a lot about situations like these because of my background and the way personalities are. And I'm struggling because I don't really want, I don't want anything negative for it to happen or come from this. But I also feel like people need to know. Because people need to know who they're dealing with. And this extends to everybody. Everybody that you love, that you're listening to. I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe some of these recent blow-ups that we have aren't organic. I'm going to be honest. I know Candace Owens blow-up, that was never organic. And what she has said in the past of what she is, she has claimed to be a mason. She has claimed to be a builder. These are all words that have come out of her mouth. You can go look it up. If I have to do a video on it showing it all, I will show it all. But these are all things that they have said. I am not implicating any of this onto them. These are all words that have come out of their mouths. And as much as I say this, I also defend them. If you watch my video, like I call this out, but I will also defend where they need defending. So I'm not all in here and all in there. I literally just look at the entirety of the situation and I take everything in as a whole. People think, well, you can't do that. You can't be half and half. The world I lived in, you got to. You have to take all that in. And you either have to never associate with them because you don't like any of that stuff, or you just have to shove it down and go pretend to be friends with them. It's why when you actually do this in real life and you do human intelligence, by the end of the day, because you're actually doing a lot of in-person acting towards the people, because a lot of the people you would really just like to arrest and lock up or detain, as we would say in the military, and throw them in prison. But you can't. You gotta play friendly so you can get the stuff that you want to get, because there's so much benefit in a lot of the information that you can get. But you gotta act. So by the end of the day, you're totally wiped, mentally, physically, and physically even when you didn't do anything physical. It's crazy. I never expected that. Never did I expect that, ever. Like, it was easier to do physical stuff all day than that type of stuff. That's just a brief description, so you understand. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with this, because I'm not doing this to try to drag him down through the mud. But information, you need to understand people as a whole. You can't just see one part of them. Because if people are out there and they're giving you information, if you're not assessing who they are behind the scenes, behind this camera, behind everything, you're getting information and you don't know how valid that information is. You're saying, well, I'm assessing the information. Well, okay. This is why I've criticized Candace on a lot of her information. Because a lot of it's very incomplete, and a lot of it is to get you emotionally riled up. A lot of them do this. They give you a little chunk of information, and they let you ride on it for a week, and none of it has any value, instead of dropping it all at once, because they create shows out of it so they can make money and get fame. It is what it is. I mean, that's how you play the game, I guess. But why do we have to play the game that way? Why can't we just drop all the evidence that I have for you right now? Like, I'm not going to make a separate video showing you, well, this is one article. Wait till next week for me to drop the next article on to you. I'm not going to play those type of games. And if information is in a developing phase, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to drop what I got to you. And then you're going to keep on going and going. It's just like Ian Carroll digging through the Epstein files right now. He's going to continue to drop new stuff because he can't dig through it all at once. I don't have anything bad to say about Ian Carroll. I actually don't have anything bad to say about Baron. It's just a crappy situation overall. But I also don't know if I can say anything good about Baron besides, he's seemingly been pretty good for us overall. So this, I'm going to link down in there. But again, either way, in my life, I've never wanted to associate with any extreme. I stay as far away from it as I can, and I always have. The only time I've ever done it is for my work for this country. And that's the only time. I never did it for any sort of personal gain or anything like that. So that's that. I mean, you can pause it if you want to and read it. The fact that he would lie about being a confidential informant, well, as someone who's run them, why would you lie? He would lie about being a confidential informant. Well, as someone who's run them, why would you lie? First of all, that doesn't make any sense. So there's something more to that story. I don't really care what it is. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're lying. A lie is a lie is a lie. The big thing that I want to point out here is dig into everybody. And don't trust the information coming out of him. He's had good information. I'm not saying that. But this shows us we need to be more stringent about the information coming out from him. And you need to verify it. And I would say that anyways, even before I knew anything about their past or their history or anything like that. Look, we all have a past. We've all done stupid things. Absolutely. I've done stupid things in my past. I absolutely have. And I will never hide it, and I will never say I didn't do that. I've never lied officially, though. That's an interesting one. That shows a lot of character issues right there. Lying officially is way different than telling a white lie to, oh, well, I don't really like that dress, or I like that dress. Something like that. That's way different. That's why people can go to prison for stuff like that. With that said, I think it shows that even the stuff in his past still might be very present to this day. If that video was recorded within the last couple months, It's pretty indicative of his character. I'm not saying to stop listening to him. What I am saying is it's a character that we have questions on now. So that means the information that comes out, we have to vet more thoroughly. And I would say this about everybody anyways. But now that we have a little bit of history on this one individual, we have to vet it even more so. It's really disappointing, man. I'm disappointed. But I feel like I wouldn't be honest if I wasn't sharing this information. And if it was old, it would be one thing. It really would be one thing. But it was funny because it was a new video that just happened that came out and actually got me digging a little bit. Because I couldn't understand it. It felt like it came out of nowhere. It felt like it came out of left field. But it turns out it didn't. It's been there. And we just weren't seeing what was behind the camera. You can be angry at me. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of comments where people are angry at me. But I'm also saddened by this too. Like I really am. Because I liked everything Baron was putting out. I really did. Now I got to rethink some things. I'm in a conundrum. And I'm also in a conundrum about what to put out and what not to. It is what it is. It's all open source information. It's all available. I didn't go into his own personal records and pull anything out. It was all just off Google. And like I said, I don't plan on digging into anything. And I don't want to. I really don't. Because I think I can still get by and still listen to him with just what I have on hand. So, sometimes there's a point where you want to stop digging because you don't want to find more. And I want to stop. I absolutely want to stop. So, hopefully I can have some self-control and actually stop. But anyways, you're watching Tradecraft for Life. Hey, subscribe. When stuff like this comes up, we'll look at it. This is not my planned content. My planned content is actually talking about human behavior like this. I don't like using active people and personal examples like this, though. Like, that's just so juvenile. It's the same stuff so don't take this out on Baron. Just assess the information that he releases more thoroughly. And if you decide you can't do all that because you don't have the time to, then you need to find something else. I don't ever let my guard down with anybody. I have certain people I trust more because I've vetted them a lot more. What vetting is basically investigating them and determining their credibility. Go easy on Baron for this. He deserves a little bit of grace, but he also shouldn't be blowing up on people like that. I completely agree with that. And I'm not even saying a lot of us haven't done it. But that, along with everything else, it shows a lot. And those of you who are here about Jason Goodman, and be like, oh, he's totally not credible in this and that. I don't care about that guy. That guy has nothing to do with any of this. All he was an instigator and a guy who randomly recorded a phone call. Which is really weird, by the way. That's all really extremely weird. But Jason Goodman being crazy and all that has nothing to do with any of this. So I would say just save your breath with those comments. And it's funny because a lot of you will come out and be like, I don't care that you have all this experience and that you know Fort Huachuca. I know that they're telling me the perfect truth and this and that. Oh, it's like Wolves in Finance coming out with his crazy stuff about the military of Fort Huachuca. None of that stuff, half of that stuff doesn't even make any sense. And I'm not even trying to defend the other side. I'm literally just taking you through the way stuff works in the military and through different avenues. And you can go to Valhalla, you can go to everyone else and you can say, hey, yeah, what dude's saying is actually pretty darn crazy. it's literally him trying to get clicks and views. So yeah, I can't wait for the comments and for y'all to come at me like that. So I'll be here waiting, and I'm excited for them. But for those of you who want to learn human intel, the psychology behind a lot of it, psychology behind a lot of stuff like this, the topic we went over today, make sure you like and subscribe, because we're going to be putting out a lot of content. This is not the content that we're going to be going around. It is just something that popped up, and then it popped up again, and I was really disappointed that it popped up again. I was really disappointed it did. And it was worse too. So, it is what it is.